Oh, yes, it's that time again. It's Friday night on the bus. It's just after 9 o'clock. And as I always say, you know what that means. It's time for that Friday feeling on the bus. And tonight it's that familiar feeling, a very familiar feeling, because it's trophy day tomorrow. We're very much accustomed to that. This is it, 4 in a row. The sun's going to be blazing for it. We play St Mirren tomorrow. So, yes, we are here to talk about that. Obviously, the game through the week as well. As this season comes to an end in just over a week's time, the Scottish Cup final. So, plenty on the agenda tonight. And of course, as always, it's Friday night. It is tradition on the Boise bus. Joining me is the wise man. It's Canada's favourite Tim. Liam, how you doing, mate?
Good, mate. I'm surrounded by hockey playoff guys and just watching all the Canadian teams slowly just wilt their way out. No, it's funny, Toronto Maple Leafs, I like them. That was my hockey team growing up. Mm-hmm. They last won Stanley Cup in 1967. And it's funny, you never hear about them. Yeah, you never hear about them talked about in the same way that we celebrate the Lisbon Lions and stuff like that. Mm. And yet, almost just as this is passionate support base.
Yeah.
And just these observations you make when you're stuck out here on a rainy day in Vancouver.
Is it rainy out there? Is it a wet one today?
Yeah, it's Dreekit today.
Oh, well, it's far from Dreekit right now in Scotland. We are in a hell of a nice run of weather, so let's keep it going. I think it's to stay in place till well into the past the cup final. So, yeah, the sun will be shining on Hampden when that rolls around. But of course, folks, before we get to all that, getting all the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, on top of the weather, we will get in all that good stuff. We'll talk about that first and foremost. So yeah, do it as always. Hit the like button. Help the Boise bus out with all the traction and algorithms and so on. We appreciate it massively. It gets us recommended to more Celtic-minded people on YouTube. Basically, it gets the Boise Bus recommended to them. Also, you can hit the subscribe button. Haven't done so yet. Hit the bell notification to be notified when the bus is on the road. Who's in our comment section tonight? Who is in the chat? Let's have a wee look. We have got James Kennedy is in tonight. Tommy55, Jim C, one of my absolute favourite names when he pops up. The Slabbering Cabbage is in. What a name. Ian McIntosh is here. Of course, Graham Tyrrell's here. Of course. Why wouldn't he be? And he's got that klaxon ready, I am sure. Who else have we got? Smell the Glove is in. Who else did I saw another one? C. Hugh Jameson as well. So I'm just I haven't shouted out yet. I think I've got everyone that's commented so far. But yes, welcome aboard, guys. Take your usual seat, and we'll be ready to go very, very soon. And of course, what else can you do? You can still share the link to the Boise Bus on whatever social media platform tickles your fancy, and piesports.com. You can still head over there, and Bus 1888 will get you 12.5% off of your order. And a wee player teaser, Liam, to get the brain going again. Who's the hidden player behind tonight's Boise Bus logo? Let's have a wee look. He's got 6 clubs in his career, and tonight's hidden player is, he started at Queen's Park before he moved to Celtic, and then Sheffield Wednesday, St Johnstone, Dunfermline, and then ended his career at Partick Thistle, who actually are playing right now and are currently losing to Livingston 3-0 on aggregate in the playoffs. We could be seeing Livingston returning to the Premiership. Oh boy, I'm excited for that. But yes, that is tonight's hidden player. Queen's Park, Celtic, Sheffield Wednesday, St Johnstone, Dunfermline, and Partick Thistle. And also, I believe on Tuesday, Conor on his Carpool announced that we have got some Boise Bus stickers on the way. Yes, indeed, stickers, Liam. So he's actually sent me a picture. Yes, he said on Tuesday on his Carpool that Boise Bus members shall be entered. So if you are a Boise Bus member, you'll be put into, I believe Conor will be arranging it. So he asked me to just give it a plug and a shout out tonight. Boise Bus sticker packs are on the way. So apparently there'll be a draw for those coming up as well. I believe Conor will sort it in an upcoming Carpool episode. But yeah, get out there, get the Boise Bus stickers out, whatever, on lampposts, whatnot. Spread the word of the Boise Bus. Don't just share the link on social media. Get a sticker out there. Put a sticker somewhere and remind people of the Boise Bus. So there you go. All that good stuff out the way.
I think you can send them to every Irish bar in North America and around the world.
Good shout.
Because that's a brilliant way to connect people is through the bus and that and these podcasts and stuff. So, and a lot of people still don't know that this sort of media, fan media exists. So I know one pub in Vancouver that's going to be covered in them.
Yeah, there is like I see it loads of times, like these stickers for podcasts and stuff all over the place. Say lampposts, go to any lampposts around Celtic Park, you'll find them. So yeah, it's a good find. So yeah, apparently they are on the way. So Conor announced it on his Carpool on Tuesday night.
Right.
Oh yeah, keep an eye out for those coming in as well. So yes, with all that said and done, Liam, let's talk about Wednesday night first and foremost, because yeah, I think Russell said this the last time he was on. I know he was out of action with internet troubles for a month. Then he came back and then he was away again. He had an impromptu decision to fly to Turkey, so he's been away in Turkey again. I know the last time he went to Turkey, it was he might have came back with a different hairstyle. I don't think he's going for anything that he's let on about, so we'll just take it as a wee break for him, a wee holiday. But yeah, so there was no PMP, obviously, and Terry was actually working away. I did try to arrange a PMP quite late on while the game was on Wednesday, but turns out Terry was working away. So I was like, right, fine, we'll save it for Friday. Gives us something to talk about. But yeah, a 5-star performance by Celtic's B team. Not really quite the B team, but basically the second string from the first team. A lot of guys getting a wee chance here. And first and foremost, Liam, did anybody play their way into Brendan's thinking for the cup final a week on Saturday, do you think?
I don't know if you can. If you could, then you think Narocki is in with a shout. I know who played his way out of a position. I thought Jeffrey Schlupp was absolute schlop.
He was schlop, wasn't he? He was.
It was like, okay, you could see somebody there that's not playing for a contract and just winding it down, and and I think that shows you everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. I thought Narocki played brilliant, and that was the thing. It's like, talks about complacency and all that, Rodgers, but there's times where no matter how you play, you're not going to get ahead of anybody, and so that's what it sort of showed me about that game as well. The fact that even put some of the guys on towards the end that didn't really need the game time. Maybe like, I was surprised he put on Alistair Johnson for Ralston. It wasn't like Ralston was playing bad, unless he was just testing him. But it's like, why would you test him in that part of the game? The same way Hatate.
Well, yeah, that is the glaring one. I'm talking about people playing their way into the cup final plans. It looks like one has now been forced because a late injury to Rio Hatate in the game. Obviously, it's going to be between Bernardo and McCown. I would like to think, from crowing about it for the last God knows how many weeks on here, that Paulo Bernardo will be the one that will get that cup final berth. But with the way things have went with Bernardo so far, it wouldn't even shock me if Luke McCown got a start. Not that Luke McCown is bad, but again, for all the chasing that we did for Bernardo, it's a bit weird how he's came back from that injury, and it's like McCown gets games before him and whatnot. But anyway, we'll get on that in a minute. But first and foremost, Hatate injury. Brendan confirmed he'll miss the last 2 games. It's a real shame because Hatate has been, he's came under a lot of criticism. I think justifiably so at times. I think sometimes performances have been way off it because, again, we know how good he can be when he is on it. And I think in recent times, Jesus Christ, he has been on it. It's like this guy has been getting back to some of the best form that we've seen. So it's a real blow in that sense. And again, as you say, totally unnecessary when you think about it with the way things were going in the game. Was there any need to do it? But I suppose something could have happened in the St Mirren game as well. If he played them tomorrow, players can get injured at training. It can happen. So it's just one of these things. But yeah, we now find ourselves minus Rio Hatate for tomorrow and for the cup final week on Saturday, Liam.
I watched that game. I didn't have a sound on when I was watching it, and you could tell. So I didn't even hear the whistle go. But if they're saying that was after the whistle, you could tell after that first he went to try and do somebody else and missed the ball, and then the ball went near Hatate and it just followed through and hammered him, and that looked like a guy that was trying to attempt to not injure, but at least he was in front of the dugouts. He was wanted to show how committed or how unpleased he was with the result or his performance or whatever it was. But you know what? He went out, he just fucking boot Hatate, and I'm surprised Rodgers wasn't more vocal. I'm surprised your team never gathered around him. We don't know the extent of his injury, but that looked like a right sore one. And the fact that it was unnecessary, why aren't we making a bigger deal out of this? I mean, this is a team that we are playing in 2 games next week in a cup final, And in the last minute, with the game gone, this guy falls through with a challenge on one of our top players, putting him out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, you don't have to be conspiracy theorist or anything like that to look and say, okay, was there any intent there? Was there it's like, go out and leave a mark on him or whatever? I mean, this Aberdeen team's taking on a right thuggy appearance,
Agreed.
We've seen that before, where I remember the battered wee Kyogo out of the place one night.
Yeah.
And, and it's like they're taking on a really shitty sort of turn,
Yeah, I thought at the start of the season when we played them the first game, the 2-each game at Celtic Park, the boy Nielsen in the middle of the park, I thought he was a proper hatchet man. I was like, that's all he is. He's just all about just physicality in the middle, no real prowess to his game, and it was just about kicking and roughing Celtic up. And yeah, that injury, obviously, I think Brendan was more annoyed at the fourth official where he was standing. He seemed to be quite vocal towards him. I think Brendan is angry, but just the way he shows it in his demeanour, he always tries to be cool and calm. You very rarely see him getting properly animated like Ange Postecoglou would, for example. He's very, but I do think Brendan's obviously not too pleased about it. But yeah, it's a blow in the sense. But I do think, when you look at the options that are coming in, I thought McCown and Bernardo both played well on Wednesday. So I don't think there's much worry about whoever does come in to fill in. I do think it should be Bernardo. I do think he should be getting the game. But tomorrow might give us a big clue how Brendan's going to go for it for the cup final. But yeah, overall, though, I say the performance when you look at it, because when that team obviously came out, I don't know. I did have this weird feeling because obviously people saw the team and might have been like, "Oh my god, what are we doing?" But I did have this odd feeling that I was just like, I feel like we are going to have just run riot the night. Get a nice, comfortable 3-0 victory or something. Just one of these moments where no pressure on them. It is the deadest of dead rubbers. Effectively, we're not going to give anything away for the cup final. I found it interesting as well that, and this is definitely I can agree with this. The Sky Sports commentator Ian Crocker said that Aberdeen's lineup on Wednesday is probably very close to what their cup final lineup will be. What ours is a million miles in the opposite direction. So that speaks volumes that we could put out all the sort of second string players from the first team, and they could run riot like that. But obviously, a few standouts for me. Liam, first and foremost, James Forrest. I thought he was fantastic. Thought he absolutely had Shinnie on toes, which isn't difficult at Shinnie's age. But again, you just thought, surely this goal's got to come. We were running absolute riot against them. You're like, what's it going to take for him to score? But again, I thought he looked lively. His end product was just a little bit lacking, but he was afraid to take people on, and he was in about the game. And surely it's coming, Liam. Surely it's going to happen.
Reminds me of that one back in the Bustalgia days where Ian Wright was trying to get that first goal for Celtic. He was hitting the post and he was banging him off players and just wasn't going right for him. Honestly, I really hope he gets it and he gets it. If he doesn't, you know what, he showed us there that, when he applies himself and when he does have something, he should be looking to score every goal as if it's that one, and it just felt good to have somebody that direct running towards him. And you're right, it is Shinnie. We'll see what he's like against, some young buck, right? But I thought he looked really good. I thought when we first started against him, the first half hour against Aberdeen, I thought we were going to get ourselves in trouble. I thought we were playing way too much football in the back line. We started sort of playing that sort of triangles in our own box to try and get it out. And there was a couple of times we were that much away from getting caught. And I was like, oh no, this is going. And they were doing that ball again where they'll put a ball out for the back position to the halfway line as the player's running back, and he'll hit it back as he's running back. But a lot of the time, those end up becoming 50-50 balls. And I was seeing some of those, and those always worry me because that's how we lose a lot of goals that way, particularly when we had those couple of goals against Rangers where we were passing it about the back like that and they picked us off. So I was worried about that. Once we stopped messing about with the horseshoe and we started looking at, and I think it was that Nuroki started carrying the ball more. Once he started doing that, then all of a sudden it was opening up and it was like 2 zippy passes through the middle and then it was going to the wings and we had a lot of success.
Yeah.
2 goals scored in a header, right? I mean, that's the. I thought Johnny Kenny's goal was like a world class header. Like, don't see our forwards scoring goals with their head like that. No, that is brave, where he's flexible, where he's looking to score a goal with his head, looking for a corner, and not just, hoping it hits his head,
Yeah. How delighted were the team for Johnny Kenny as well? How delighted were they? You see Liam Scales' celebrations on the bench. He was loving it. He was absolutely elated for him.
I mean, so they should be in it. Again, makes you wonder. It's like, okay, so we've had this league done and dusted for ages. We've had bits where areas having a lack in form. Was this sort of get him to 20 goals? Because I would have liked to have seen more of Johnny Kenny and see what we have there. We're not going to get this chance next year. I mean, we go right into European preliminaries to hopefully qualify for the next thing. So when are we going to see him? We're going to see him again in a bunch of exhibition games where they change the team at half time and you're not really getting a good idea. And sometimes you get guys that perform great and you never ever see them again. So I don't know. I'm disappointed we didn't get to see more of him. And same with the youths as well. I thought when Sean McCardle came on,
yeah, he looked good.
Everybody's talked about it. Yeah, he looks a player. He looks a player in his first touch, and so just gets you wanting more. All right, come on, show us more of what we have in that department, and I think that's the tune Rodgers got to start giving the fans. It's like, right, show us what we're building here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously the pathway manager, remember Darren Adee got that position at the start of the season. Apparently he's away to Swansea now. So again, what was his job? What is a pathway manager? So it's like we need to see more of that. But I just feel that the way it is with Celtic, where we're not in much of a position to mess around with the league, with the battle with Rangers every season. I know we obviously pulled away and got into a double figures lead. But yeah, so there could have been maybe a bit of room, but I guess Brendan has obviously waited until it was definitely official, and now we started to see a bit more of guys like McCardle and whatnot, but he does look a decent player, so hopefully there's a bright future there, because it is getting very tiresome that so many players are in our B team and then are just letting their contracts run down and getting poached by another team. It seems to be a regular occurrence. I get it. Obviously, it's not exactly a very fun system that they play in, with the B team being in the Lowland League and they can't get promoted. So really, what's on the line for them? They need to see that they get, the chances. Like next season, these League Cup games and Scottish Cup games, I think there should be a contingent of the B team that get games in this one, because Sinisalo, for example, I think he's now shown that there is no worries about him. He's shown enough now where we know that the future's bright with him. If Schmeichel only does one more year, which I would expect would be the case, I think Sinisalo's like it, but I think next season he has to get every single cup game, regardless of if we get drawn to go to Tynecastle or Pataudry, Easter Road, or we draw Rangers or whatever. I say just give Sinisalo all the League Cup games and all the Scottish Cup games, and then the occasional league game here and there, but mostly the Cup games. He just go down that route. Don't, this season, maybe it was a case of Brendan just thought maybe his ego was bruised last season, not winning the treble, so it was all about strongest team and League Cup games and Scottish Cup games. I want to get the 3 trophies back again. Maybe it could be something like that, but I do think next season, Sinisalo has to play all the Cup games, Liam.
Yeah, no, I sometimes worry if Rodgers is more about chasing records and these sort of like merit achievements than he is building something really strong, and having like a club, like the way we used to be as well, where you're churning out homegrown players. We're churning them out enough for Italy right now. We should be able to do it for Celtic. And I don't like. It's just frustration about Rodgers, and that's what this time of the season tells you as well, where you're starting to see these players that obviously showed nothing in training, and then you're getting them and you're seeing them on the park, and it's like, okay, well, what was it at him you weren't seeing? Because your eyes don't lie to you. Mm-hmm. You can see there's a guy, and I look at Naroki and I'm like, all right, other than that one mess up against Aberdeen, where Burnaby gave the ball away, and basically this was on the halfway line, where he had to deal with the most informed striker in Scotland.
Mm.
Apart from that, and I think we won that game still.
We drew one each in that game. It's quite ironic that the Vrotskis had some sort of redemption arc at Pataudry. That's quite appropriate.
Yeah, so I thought he looked really good, and I thought he also had trust is too nice. Our whole team's too nice. Even Rodgers in his press thing talking about the tackle on Tati, it wasn't nice. It's no about being nice.
No.
And so I like
Liam, sorry to butt in, but didn't we? I think I brought this up maybe 2 weeks ago. I put that question saying, do you think our team's a bit too nice? It was before the Rangers game, and there was a great example. Like, that was a horror challenge. How many Celtic players were around to back him up and I'm not saying go up and hassle the referee and shout in his face, but a bit of, it's good. I want to say camaraderie, but I just think the visual of no players are going over. I mean, that was a horror challenge. You can see it in real time. Right. The players on the park should surely see it. So you'd think there would be a bit of, to the referee. Again, what was VAR doing? What was VR doing? That's what it's there for a blatant and obvious error. If he's missed what is a red card defence, it doesn't matter that they've already had a guy sent off and we're winning 5-1. The rules are the rules. You've got to follow them.
I mean, they'll look back now and they'll probably ban him for the final or something. But, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like for like. Tati's, I'd never heard of this guy before. Despite a guy playing it against his name, Pape. That would have stood out,
Good point. Actually, I never thought about that. Aye. But no, I say it was a shocker, but in terms of the other moments from Wednesday night as well, obviously the Yang gang was prominent, getting a goal as well. It was also weird as well about the performance on Wednesday night. Obviously, Dundee United there all week, we beat them 5-0, but we started that game quite slow, and then there was a break in play, and then after it, we just seemed to be in total control. I felt we started quite well on Wednesday night, and then there was obviously the break in play for the issue in the crowd with the fan that had some health issues. And that stop and play for that 5 minutes after we came back, we were all over the place. Aberdeen scored their goal pretty much right away, and it felt like, oh god, we've completely lost all the momentum. But then we got the goal right on half time. Well, obviously the extended injury time, Yang scores, and after that we just didn't look back. But it was weird that there's been 2 games in recent weeks where there's been a break in play, a delayed break, and it's caused an effect on the Celtic team. One time it seemed to galvanise us and we seemed to be better. But then on Wednesday night, we were a bit disjointed after it. It just kind of broke it up a bit too much. And yeah, maybe the players just lost that wee bit of heat in their legs, essentially, just to get back up to speed. But again, once we got going, yeah, we absolutely blew them away in the second half. And as it turns out, Russell asked it in the Boise Bus chat, there was about the goal record, the 111 goals that the Lisbon Lions scored in 1967. And Celtic, after beating Hibs on the weekend, they were on 106, so 5 goals takes them to equal that, and they got the 5 goals. Adam Eder did score the goals. So if Celtic score a goal tomorrow, it will give us the record. And hey, it might be James Forrest that does that. Could you imagine 2 records for the price of 1? You're waiting all season to break a record, Liam, and then like a London bus, 2 could come along at once for young James.
I mean, if you're writing a narrative, and we are full of storytellers. Some of the stories that we have about our club are unlike anyone else. Of course it's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen.
It is, isn't it? It's written in the stars.
Remember, was it when... who was it that died? Was it when Billy McNeil died?
Billy McNeil and Siminovic scored the goal and he was number 5. Yes.
You things like that happen around our club more often than not. You do see these sort of things, and I think it's one of these things. If we all imagine it, it's going to happen. If we're talking about it now, it's going to happen.
If I remember right, the Siminovic goal was not like the 67th minute or something like that. It was like 67 something. Although people are saying theory, and being technical about it, it's actually the 68th minute, but the clock did say like 67 minutes and whatever seconds. But yeah, Siminovic scored the winner that day, and he was number 5. And the parallels. I think, funny enough, it was Billy McNeil that did say there's a fairy tale about Celtic. He did say that before in an interview years ago, just saying there's like a fairy story around Celtic. There just is a magic with them at times, and yeah, it happens. They also, like, looking back, the Vinegar Hesselink winner at Tannadice, number 10, Tommy Burns. Number 10, the last time Celtic had won the league at Tannadice at that point was 82, I believe, and Tommy Burns had scored the winner that night. So again, it's just all these parallels, all these things, the stars just align. But yeah, I believe as it stands now, Celtic are on the 111 goals, so they've equalled it. So the next goal scorer has got the record, and I say James Forrest with 2 records right in front of him. So there it is. It's an open goal, James. Tap it in, mate. Just tap it right in. But yeah, I say 5-star performance from Celtic string. Will it get any of them a start in the cup? I don't know if there's a start other than the forced one with Hitati. That shot's going to be up for grabs. I think it's going to be as you were. Obviously, there's talk about Cameron Carter-Vickers. He'll be back for tomorrow as well. And what the whole plan was to get these guys back in time for the cup final. But before we get talking about tomorrow, or the game rather, let's talk about what's going on around the game and after it, because there's also a big story over here, Liam, about the celebrations that are planned. Now, in 2020, well, to be fair, it actually began before COVID, because obviously with the trebles that were racking up, there seemed to be a sort of natural congregation of fans in the Trongate area of Glasgow. I believe it was maybe for the treble. There's that many of them. I mean, there's that many have happened, maybe the double treble. But I do remember there was an incident where Celtic had basically allowed Celtic Park to be used for like a rugby final, and the issue was the fans couldn't then congregate back at Celtic Park. So I think they all just kind of went to the Trongate and it just gathered there. I think it was a treble. I'm going to say it's that one. Somebody might correct me in the comments. So that was the first time it happened, and then obviously COVID happened and the whole world shut down. Obviously, they won the league in 2021 and their fans gathered in George's Square, and yeah, it was ugly scenes to say the least. So once we were all back in stadiums and COVID was starting to go away, that release of just being back and winning things again after a horrendous season, obviously the fans gathered again at the Trongate 2022, and for the most part, it seems like it went off pretty well. It was a good atmosphere. I know a few Celtic podcasts. Hamish Carton, I remember watching his videos where he was down there interviewing fans. It seemed like it was a really good atmosphere. But it seems to be happening now every year, and it's causing some sort of unsavoury scenes as well, which, to be fair, there's always going to be that. When there's alcohol involved, there's always going to be. So right now, there's a whole debate about should Celtic be doing something like putting on like a fan zone effectively, maybe or should Glasgow City Council be saying, don't gather in the streets, we'll put on a fan zone in, say, Glasgow Green, something like that. To me, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer, really, when it comes to this. But I don't know if the council, we don't want to be seen that we're catering to one side of the Glasgow divide, because obviously the other side will pipe up and say, well, what about us? Well, they need to win stuff first, I suppose, before they can have that. But yeah, it's a bit of a debate going on right now. So, Liam, where do you stand in this? I think the club should be looking to do something to alleviate this, because there will be some issues. There will be some that will come. They're not going to stop how many tens of thousands it's going to be that's going to turn up. It's just not going to get stopped. It's going to happen. But I do think the club should try and find some sort of happy medium to accommodate them, work with the council in some way to maybe set up a fan zone somewhere.
You know what's going to happen? And it happens every city in the world, in places you don't expect. You see it in World Cups. Guys used to see it in Canada when I lived in Toronto. I lived right in the middle of downtown there as well. And when a team like Iran or something would win a game in the World Cup, they'd be shutting down intersections. People would be flying about in cars, hanging out in the windows. You watch how American teams celebrate Super Bowls, NBA. Look at Montreal and the riots here in Vancouver when we lose Stanley Cups and things like that. All these things happen to a much worse level than anything that's ever happened in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. You know, we had a riot in 1980. I was there. I was here during the Stanley Cup riots. It was nothing like Glasgow was like nothing, easily controllable, you know. So I think the club have to get it into the thing that, okay, part of them being in charge of the club right now is to look after the fans' best interests. Mm-hmm. And that includes their safety. And if you're telling them that you can't celebrate a win, everything that's promised from like season ticket renewals to club ethos and, you know, banners and that throughout the stadium and all that, if you can't live up to that vision and deliver it when it actually matters most, you shouldn't be in that position. So right now, I think, the club have a responsibility to the fans to make it so that they can go and celebrate this great achievement as a group. It should be food trucks. There should be, idea beer garden or whatever. And don't say Scottish people can't drink. Everybody in the world drinks. Everybody gets drunk. There's fights everywhere and stuff like that. It's just up to sensible people to talk them out of it. And you know what? And that happens. But no, it's like, man, bloody nanny state. It's weird looking back at it right now, and then, looking at how backwards some things are over there. Don't take offence. I've been living away for a long time, but that distance, you see things through a different lens, and it's like, come on, man, grow up. This is an adult country. We're big boys and all that. People can handle it. So, yeah, they should be putting on a fan zone. I mean, over here, they'd be looking for co-sponsorship for that sort of stuff. I mean,
there's money to be made. Surely Celtic board can see that. There's money to be made here. Sponsorship, as you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, there is, and you could co-sponsor it, and you could create festivals and stuff like that. And yeah, it just takes a bit of imagination to see past, the memes and the fall twos that all these pessimists and all that, and doomsday cultists and all that are always predicting that somehow Scottish people can't behave yourself. I mean, I've been plenty of beer tents with Scottish people in Canada at Highland games and at football things and all that, and I'm talking with everybody supporting every team and all sorts. All boys there for Belfast, Catholic, Protestant, they're just fighting and throwing beer at each other and all that. We have plenty to talk about, but it's just weird that the city and the club aren't looking at the opportunity to invest in that. I mean, they just make a T-shirt that day. They could sell so much money for the Celtic Foundation. You sell a Celtic Foundation treble T-shirt that day, make it so that's that, or you pay to get in, you do it in the stadium, and it's, they're showing stuff on the big screen, you've got a band playing. I don't know, that's the way they do it over here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think John Kieran saying in the chat, you're agreeing with a fan zone is the way, but our city leaders prefer negative headlines. I've got to agree with that one, with the way the state of some areas of Glasgow right now, to be fair. But yeah, it's every year it's going to keep happening. As long as Celtic keep winning, they're going to do something. So I think the Celtic boards, there's, as you say, sponsorship, that money to be made there. You'd be quite surprised that they're not doing something regarding that. But yeah, I'd say it's just going to keep on rumbling on. If we get to this stage next season, it's going to come back again. But again, it is. The way it's getting portrayed though in the media, it's like it's tens of thousands of people fighting and rioting with each other. Yes, there are some band pots there, and yes, some things do get broken and damaged and whatnot. There might be a bit of scrapping between fans, but it is without a shadow of doubt a minority. If you look at all the pictures that have came out in the last few years of those scenes down at the bottom of the high street, it's unbelievable. It's just a sea of green. You can't even see the road anymore. You can't see any of the street. It's ridiculous how many people are there. So it's like when you take into account the minority, everyone shouldn't be tarnished with that. And yeah, the fans are entitled to, celebrate. But it's about finding a way to accommodate them. But I say, if I remember right, it did all begin from the treble season, because Celtic had there was some sort of like rugby final going to be used at Celtic, or at Celtic Park, because the fans the previous two trebles had went to Celtic Park and stood outside to greet the players when the bus came back from Hampden, but it didn't, so they just went to the Tron Gate, and then it just became a thing. I say, after COVID and after that absolute shit show that was, just the release to be back winning stuff again and be out and doing things and being with people. In 2022, it happened, and say it went down really, really well, and it's just continued ever since then. But it's obviously the big topic right now, rumbling on as we head towards tomorrow. It's not going to get stopped. It's going to happen. So over to police, the council, whatever they're going to do, but they ain't going to stop it happening. But something else that won't get stopped happening as well is now official. Daizen Maeda, Player of the Year, the worst kept secret in Scottish football. It was so obvious. What a season. Did we even see this coming? I mean, Daizen did look like he improved last season when Brendan had come back to the club, but I don't think any of us could have foreseen that the wild numbers that Daizen was going to put up this season. And the thing is, is it going to end up being a purple patch or like a one-season wonder for Dyson, or will he go from strength to strength, do you think, Liam?
I think it depends on his manager. I don't think his manager's been doing him. I think right now we've got one of the most informed strikers at one point in the world, and it really concerns me that Rodgers wants to put him on the wing to accommodate Ida. And yeah, I think I want to see him playing more centre forward, and if he plays the whole game and he's one of these guys that can play him the whole game, Ida comes on as a cameo here and there, So and he has to stay in shape and be sharp when he comes in. That's what the 9 million probably subsequent pay package is for. But I think Rodgers has to start treating Dyson Maeda as the top striker. Not only that, but the same way that you treat a Luis Suarez or something like that, because I think you've got something like with the right motivation and getting the right guys around him and all that. We've got something exceptional there. And he looks like he is developing his game. It looks like whatever he's doing or whatever coaching he's getting, we'll give credit where it's due. Something happened this season where, okay, he's taking advantage of more chances, but also his creativity is better than Kyogo. I thought Kyogo was a really creative player when it came to vision and that. You're seeing that with Dyson Maeda, and when we look at his goals, scores and assists this year, when we see that package put together, you're going to see like such an array of creativity and ideas and stuff like that. You see that, okay, we need a plan to manage him properly, because and especially if we can sign him to a contract. So we have to show him that we can still give him the platform to develop his game as well, where he can continue that growth. I think moving him for the centre forward position out of the wing and all that right now to accommodate Ida, that doesn't serve Dyson Maeda, and I think we have to be very careful of that right now, because I'd like to see him play for Celtic. I mean, it's the kind of players you want playing for Celtic, Yeah. I like him.
No, he does. He's an exciting player nowadays. Every time he's on the ball and he's running at a defender, it is one of those things in the stadium. You're up at your seat because you're expecting something to happen now. Compare it to 2-3 years ago where you just didn't know what you were going to get with Dyson Maeda. 1 second he'll balloon it over the bar into Rose Ed, or just, an absolutely horrendous cross. If his crossing still could do a wee bit of work, I guess, but his finishing is so composed now, so cool in front of goal. And it was one of the big things that he lacked, was just composure. You were just worried when he was bearing down on goal. What's he going to do here? But no, he's been fantastic and a thoroughly deserved player of the year, because obviously up until a point this season it was pretty much take your pick between him and Nicholas Kuhn. And I did feel like, just again because of the few years we'd had with Maeda, and you thought, I know this might be a purple patch, but no, it turns out that Kuhn was the one that fell away just about January time. He's had a few performances recently where he's looked quite lively, but Maeda's consistency has been remarkable, and fair play to him. As he picked up the Player of the Year award, so it's definitely a position. You're talking about striker. I mean, I think Maeda's been just as dangerous coming from the wing. A lot of his goals and assists have all came from playing out wide. But what we definitely need to address in summer, we do need to be getting another forward option in, because at the moment we've only got one. Adam Ida is basically number 9, so we do need to get, after letting Kyogo go. And I think Terry nailed this on a PMP a while back about it. Just screamed of complacency from the board, essentially. With the league's won, whatever, we can go without Kyogo or another striker for half a season. I would imagine it will be addressed. I think we will be looking to get more striker options in the window, because we definitely boost that area, especially all the games that we're going to be playing again. We'll be back into Europe again. And obviously, we want to be in the Champions League. That's where we need to be because of the money and whatnot, the prestige of it. But at the very least, if that doesn't go well, it'll be Europa League, but that'll be the same format. It'll be 8 games. It'll take us up to the end of January. So you're going to have European football all the way through there. So you add them in. You've got your League Cup, Scottish Cup, all the league games and whatnot. A lot of games to play. So we definitely need more options there, especially when we do get those stodgy games where it's not really working what we're doing. Something different, something fresh at the moment up front. So it's definitely an area that I think is in the is in the works for the sort of transfer window. And obviously a winger, because of the Jota injury, that now goes without saying. That could obviously open up doors. Maybe if we do sign a couple of wingers, maybe Maeda will now become exclusively a striker, and it'll be a case of you're not going to play on the wing anymore at any point. It could be that could be the move, Liam. It could go something down that route, maybe.
I mean, yeah, this is providing we keep all our players.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, I think right now, yeah, as you said, you touched on striker, definitely. I like Ada. I think he's done well to get 20 goals. But we're beating a lot of those teams. There was a lot of 5-0 scorelines this year. We predicted many of them in this bus.
True, actually, we did.
And so, it's good when you're a fair weather player and you can, and it's, you're winning when everybody's winning and all that. What I'm looking for is like game-changing moments and all that. And I think that's the other striker you need. It's not a guy that can just come in and clean up and, you know what I mean, and maybe like challenge for balls in the air, hold it up, that sort of thing at the end, end of game strategy or tactics. You need somebody to come on and change a game, and I haven't seen that as yet from him. I've seen bursts of it, but I don't think, okay, Ida's coming on, this is going to really challenge him. Let's see what they've got left in the tank, their defenders and all that. Haven't seen that from him yet.
No.
I'd like to see us get another forward in there that can, and again, maybe another player that can play centre forward and wing.
Yeah, again, a bit of rotation. You need that in football now, guys that can play a multitude of positions, because again, with all the injuries, suspensions, all the games you've got to play, it's something that needs to be done. Hugh Jameson, though, what a comment this is. Brendan will continue to develop Dizan, who surely now has earned the accolade of the best since Larsson. What are we saying to that, Liam? The best since Henrik Larsson, Dizan Maeda. What are we saying?
You know what? I think he's talking sense there. I think as far as excitement goes and anticipation of watching somebody play, I think, yes, I get the same excitement watching him as I watch Larsson, just with the variety of goals he scores, and he's such a good team player as well.
Oh, he's very much that, yeah. He's definitely a very good team player, no doubt about it, very humble.
Like the amount of times where we've talked about it at the end of PMPs and things like that, where 88 minutes in a game, you're up 6-0. There was a couple of references to this where who's back there in our corner, hustling and tackling, getting involved to win a ball, Dizan Maeda. And so I think that's what we've got there as well, too, in that Larsson. You've got somebody that's an avatar that you can say to the younger players coming up, look at the effort he's putting in, look at that, and that's got to be brilliant in training. And when you see all that as a young professional, that you've got this guy that's, just seems to be doing everything right. He seems a really mature young guy, with family and all that as well. There's a proper zen about him,
No, there definitely is, but it's always a debate that comes up, when you've had such a mercurial striker in Henrik Larsson, every time something comes along, banging in goals and, just an all-round game, they're going to get compared with Dembele, Kyogo, even guys like Gary Hooper, Lee Griffiths for a spell. People were talking about, could he be the best Larsson with, again, the number of goals he was racking up? Odsonne Edouard. So it does happen. It's always going to happen. Look at, say, Argentina for all the years after Maradona. It was like, he's going to be the next Maradona, and now it's Messi. Who's going to be the next Messi? It's natural in football. So, say if Patman says there, if Maeda does it for 7 years, then maybe. We'll wait and see. So that's how many years he's been with us now? 4? 3?
One of the remember, Larsson was also doing it in Euro Championships and World Cups.
He was, actually,
yeah. Marquee goals and stuff,
that's right. He was. I scored the World Cup 2002, Euro 2004, and he was and Euro 2000. He came back for his leg break and played against Italy, if I remember right, and he took the ball around the goalkeeper and put it in the net. They lost the game on the night, but it was a great goal. Even as a Celtic player at that point, going to European Championships and World Cups and doing the business. So he's say Maeda, it's a hell of a company to be in, but his numbers this season are very much in that category, the obscene number of goals that he's hit. So just keep it going. Let's see let's make sure he's here next season as well. You know, that's what we want to do. You know what happens with the way Celtic are on the food chain, Liam? A player starts doing well, and then all the vultures from England begin to circle. So, and I know there's been a few teams' names coming up recently. So hopefully we can fend them off. But yeah, we'll now head into the last 15 minutes of the show. We will discuss tomorrow, Trophy Day, as I said at the top of the show. Friday feeling, but it's a familiar feeling because Trophy Day is now just a thing. It's basically part of the calendar. You may as well just mark it at the moment with the way things are going. 4 in a row. Say it quietly. Could it be 10 one day? Who knows? But yeah, we look to celebrate. And funny enough, last year we played St Mirren on Trophy Day as well, and that's who we've got again after they made the top 6. St Mirren are obviously still trying, I think, to catch. I think 5th place could still does get a European spot, I think a qualifying spot in the Conference League. So St Mirren have obviously got something to come and play for. Actually, are sitting 6th just now. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think tomorrow we're going to get a bit of a mixture. I think some of the players for the cup final will start, but I think we'll see a few of the guys who performed well on Wednesday night keep their place. Why not? If they're not going to play in the cup final, if it's a case of they're not, this could also maybe change Brendan's mind, could give them another run, and he might go, actually, you know what? Maybe they will make it, and then there's something on the line there. But I do think it'll be a bit of a hybrid team tomorrow, a bit of a mixture, maybe like 4 or 5 who are going to start the cup final, while the rest will be made up of basically the sort of second string, Liam.
Aye, I mean, I watched tomorrow's game to again see what we've got, see what we're developing as young players and all that. You know, I'm really intrigued by this Sean McArdle cameo that he brought on the other night. 17 minutes, so he plays. A lot of people have looked at him and a lot of them have seen the same thing, that Moyer's actually not just a technical gifted player, but just watching what he did and not, you know, like the way he was doing it, he had his head up and all that. It looks really composed for a 17-year-old. You know, and you just see in Barcelona, there's some exceptional 17-year-olds out there right now. And if
there is, yes.
They'll end up in Liverpool or, you know, any of these other poacher clubs right now that are looking at some of these players that are being developed in Scotland. I'm sure everyone in Italy is looking for the next Scott McTominay, you know. And so I think we have to be really crafty and really smart, and I think we have to up our development game of how we are developing and bringing in these players, because, you know, the boy at Barcelona, was it Lamine
Yamal.
Yamal.
I mean, last summer he won the Euros with Spain because he broke into the team the season before, the Barcelona team, and it was 16 years old. He's playing in the European Championship for Spain last season and winning it against England in the final. And it's like, this boy did not look at a place. Again, if they're good enough, it doesn't matter what age they are. And this boy McArdle, if he's good enough, then yeah, give him a go.
You know, so that's my. I'd like to see Rodgers show some bravery or show some sort of creativity in that as well. And it's like, this guy looked like he had a good camp. Let's see what else he's got. Because, you know, I've seen that enough of Arne Engels. I'm one of these guys that's still, yeah, okay, he's 19 or 20, whatever he is now, and that. You know, we're giving him a lot of chances to prove Rodgers right. You know, I'd hate to just see 17 minutes this McArdle boy and then you don't see him again, or, you know, until he's been loaned out to, you know.
Well, here's a question from Graham Tyrrell about McArdle. He says, develop McArdle, play him more next season, or buy Lennon Miller? What do you think?
Both, I think.
Both, why not?
But then again, if you look at our midfield, who are we going to drop? He's not going to drop McGregor. Fatati's still there. You know, you know, and so it's like there's 2 other guys ahead of him to get in there. Is he going to rotate him with McGregor?
Well,
no, Rodgers will play McGregor until he needs a hip surgery or something, you know.
See, I still think Hatate might be away from us in the summer. I feel like that's one of the players we're going to lose. I feel like I know he's been coming on a game recently. He's been exceptional in recent months, but I just keep feeling like I think Hattati's near the end of his time at Celtic. I just feel like it's time we're going to cash in on him or try to cash in on him. I just have that incline in my head.
I have to see what this injury's like as well, because if there's works right now, depending, if that's a ligament or anything like that, or a break, I could see him out for a while, and that could throw off a deal. I mean, we wouldn't want to buy an injured player,
Yeah, no, I get it. I think that happened to one of our players. In fact, it was Carter Vickers. Carter Vickers a couple of years ago, Ange's second season, because obviously we were all worried about, Carter Vickers, man, like he's going to be popular, and then he went for we beat Rangers in the semi-final, and he went for an operation and missed the final against Inverness in the last few league games. But because he was out for pretty much the entire pre-season, it put off clubs from. By now, obviously, we're advocating for players to get injured in order to stop them from going to other clubs, because that's a knock-on effect for us. They can come back a worse player. It's just happened that the Stars just seemed to work in our favour, that one. But at the same time, Carter Vickers has had quite a sketchy injury record since then. And again, Hattati, if that is a bad one and does keep him out for all the pre-season, if he is still at Celtic, one, you hope that it doesn't have a long-term effect on him, and two, he doesn't down tools. I hate that term, but players can do that, where they can just get in a bit of assault because they didn't get their move and whatnot. So I'd hope that he would still be, if he does still want to wait. Remember, Hattati has said from quite early on when he joined Celtic about his vision and his career, where he wants to be. So it's like, well, circumstances have obviously gone against you. You've nobody will get the move because you were injured. It's just a case of you've got to just keep churning out performances for us, and you will get that move that you want. But for the time being, it benefits us. That if you keep on putting in the performances, it'll benefit you and us, essentially. So we just hope that that's not the case, though, that he comes back a changed man if it's a long-term injury.
I think with Hattati, he needed a really good Europe, and we still haven't seen prime Hattati other than that one ball that was like against Real Madrid. That was too fast, but we've over-talked that one. Yeah, I think he needs to do it and prove he can show up in Europe. That will get him his move. And I mean, there is other teams out there. Like, he could be an ideal candidate for this inverted fullback.
Yeah,
he's got the assets to do that stuff. He's got a turn. He's got a shot. He's got, he's good at moving inside the park and that as well. And I think much more benefit with him there. And as we see him a few times, he's played fullback, but he's got man of the match. And
that's right. Yeah, he did
2 goals playing when Ralston was out and Anthony Johnson had yet to come into the building.
That's right, against St Johnstone at the Christmas time game. That's right. I remember that one. He was playing right back that day and he scored 2. Wild, absolutely wild.
Good manager out there that can see that, okay, well, that attributes that he brings. You look at Frimpong going to Liverpool, things like that, of his attributes as well, like playing in that position or moving in to the midfield. It's an interchangeable type position, and I think Hattati would be for that, It just needs to, I think, bulking up, getting a wee bit braver and more physical. But I think I've already seen that in him, There was times where I think he used to get bullied. I always hated him playing against, Lundstrom used to batter him a bit,
Yeah.
And now, until we've seen this crazy injury there at Thuggery, he'd done a pretty good job of holding himself up against other players and being resilient and being a bit more tougher than he was when he arrived. And I think when he goes back into a league where there might, there's a bit more protection and functioning VAR and stuff like that, it might actually let him flourish as a player where he's no worried about the after the whistle tackles and stuff.
To answer as well, just quickly, Joe Henry is asking in the chat, Phil GPT, that's an interesting nickname. What are the odds in the bookies for Forrest to get his 100th goal? I think he's already scored his 100th goal. Has he not got that unique stat of 100 goals and 100 assists for Celtic? He scored over 100. He's got over 100 assists. I'm pretty sure he bagged his 100th against Hibs, I want to say, a couple of seasons ago. We were playing them and he scored a hat-trick under Andrew's second season. We battered Hibs like 6-0 or something. I'm pretty sure it was the hat-trick that day. So I think he's got his 100th. But if you're asking about him to score tomorrow, I believe Pato, who's normally in the chat, he's quite good at coming in with bookies odds of what's going to happen. So what's the odds, Pato? Come in the chat and tell us on Forest scoring maybe first tomorrow. As I said, I believe the first goal scorer tomorrow will have the accolade of getting the goal that takes us by the Lisbon Lion records, because we were on 111 after Wednesday night, and that was the record. So I think next scorer wins, essentially. So it could be James Forrest. But yeah, I see Pat was in the chat. He's quite good with the bookie odds. But I'm pretty sure James Forrest has got that 100 goals, 100 assists thing that he got a few seasons ago. So he's definitely hit his 100th goal anyway. He's definitely done that. Or else I've just imagined all of that in my head. maybe I have.
Oh.
I mean, Chat GPT is obviously AI. The AI can make a lot of things. I'm getting things mixed up. Maybe I got mixed up. Maybe I did. But yeah.
Hey, I'm so far away from you boys in the bus. I'm still convinced. I think I convinced Pam one night that Terry's background was Photoshop. And Mark's kitchen. Mark works in a kitchen showroom. And that's just
like a kitchen showroom
at work.
It's quite immaculate, that background, that kitchen.
There wasn't involved when Pam came to visit here in Vancouver.
Aye, that's right, she was.
Hey, Pam, watching.
Hello, Pam. David Logue's in the chat as well, I noticed tonight.
Hey.
So hello, David. Hello. Yeah, David's his wife's a week overdue, so the baby's keeping them waiting right now. So, but David did say in the chat, and you'll let us all know when a new Celtic fan is born. I met Johnny Logue last week actually at the Celtic. Johnny was up for the birth of his grandson, but the grandson didn't come. He had to go back down south and go basically offer his flying around the world as he does. But yeah, Johnny after the game went and bought a Celtic scarf from the Celtic Superstore. Get them started early, Liam. As soon as they're out the womb, get a Celtic scarf on them, mate.
Aye, so David, what you're calling him Dyson? You have to call him Dyson.
Oh yeah, Dyson, aye. Dyson Logue.
Dyson Logue.
Aye. Oh, what else could do? He does love that. Remember, David was the one that had that thing with Mark for ages about, Maeda will become a 20-goal a season player, and Mark was like, nah, no chance. So it took a while, but we got there. So I think in all of that, Dyson Logue, that's what I think. Or maybe the middle name, Dyson, go for that. I don't know if his wife will go with that one, but I'm advocating for it anyway. But yeah, before we go, we'll wrap up in a few minutes. So first things first is tonight's mystery player, Liam. Let's do that from the start of the show. We brain teaser as to who was hidden behind the Boise Bus logo. So their career started at Queen's Park, then it went to Celtic, Sheffield Wednesday, St Johnstone, Dunfermline, and Partick Thistle. Liam, any idea who's behind the Boise Bus logo?
I remember it was the first time I seen girls showing up at football games. So you saw the younger generation of women showing up at football, and everybody loved wee Sid, Simon.
Yes, look at that Leonardo DiCaprio haircut. Have you ever seen a more Backstreet Boys haircut in your life? That is pure 90s, that one. He was going for that look. But yeah, Sid, Simon Donnelly, is tonight's hidden player. Again, when it comes to him, I remember quite a few good memories. The one that obviously stands out, even though we didn't win the game in the end, but he was so close to being the guy that won us the 10. That game against Dunfermline, second last game of the season, 97-98, Celtic have to win. There'll be 4 points in front if they win, and it won't go down to the last day. But Celtic being Celtic, we had to do something to make it dramatic. He puts us ahead. It's written in the stars. He's going to be in the history books forever as the guy that won us the 10. And then some big clogger called Craig Falconbridge equalised for Dunfermline with minutes to go. As Simon Donnelly was denied that chance, but I always thought he was a cracking wee player. Him and Phil O'Donnell, obviously great friends. They went to Sheffield Wednesday together after they left Celtic. But I always thought he was a cracking wee player. He was a winger and forward. We talked earlier on, Liam, about you want to sign a forward that can also play on the wing. Somebody like a Simon Donnelly who could do both. Somebody like that you're looking for, mate.
It's funny. I go back and listen to some of these Scottish football podcasts where they're talking about the Dundee teams that when Jackie McNamara and Simon Donnelly were, I think they manage players in that now as well, right? And I'm surprised he's not one that was added to the coaching staff, just because he just seems he seems like a well-together guy and all that. And I think they had anytime I've heard him speak about football and all that, I've always been quite impressed. I remember watching a season of Bustalgia. I think it was the one before the 10 in a row series. And it was, Tommy Burns and O'Donnell, that. And I was surprised at how much goal contributions Simon Donnelly was involved in, and how many games he played up front with Larsson.
Yeah, he did.
I keep forgetting that he was part of that original team as well, and you know, and then when he went to Sheffield Wednesday as well, I think he had a pretty good career there.
Yeah, him and Phil O'Donnell were there together. But yeah, no, they did it right. And also, just a quick answer: Alistair Brown asks in the chat, "Is PMP on tomorrow, Phil?" Yes, it is. It'll be me and Terry, because Russell did say he's away to Turkey, as I was saying at the start of the show. He announced it on the last one he was on. He was just back from his internet issues, and then he just had a impromptu decision to book a wee flight to Turkey, so he's there. So I spoke to Terry on Wednesday, because I was trying to do a last minute PMP on Wednesday night, but Terry was actually working away. So I says, okay, that's fine, I'll jump on with you on Trophy Day. So I don't have a time right now for it, because obviously I'm at the stadium, so just be when I get back. I'll just message Terry and I'll just get it set up. He says whenever suits. So just make sure you've hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification, and you'll be reminded when PMP is on the road. And yeah, with that said done, before the game tomorrow, Liam, the Celtic go out and do another stylish trophy day. We've made a bit of a habit of that in recent years, just going out and robbed it. Although last year, the St Mirren game last year was actually quite an enjoyable game. They came and made a go of it. 3-2, we beat them in the end. Lewis Palmer, I think, scored the winner that day. But that boy O'Hara gave us a few problems. They got a penalty as well. He scored both of their goals, if I remember correctly. So will St Mirren come and make it a bit stodgy, or will we just blow them away tomorrow?
I think St Mirren will come and show up. I mean, it's a team full of Scottish boys. A lot of them will probably grew up supporting Celtic or that and will want them to give them absolutely nothing. So, where's the game tomorrow? It's in
Celtic Park. Celtic Park, 12:30 kickoff. 12:30 kickoff at Celtic Park. It's on the telly. So it's an early rise for you, Liam. Very early rise.
That's all right. I love it. You know what? I think they'll come and they'll give us a good game. I think they will. And yeah, I'm just wanting to see. I think it's going to be one of these days where the sun is shining. I love that. You know, it's like people at Glasgow, man. You know, deserve a day in the sun, celebrate the team. I think it's just going to be celebrations. Even if we don't win or set records or whatever, you know, it's still fun all being together and all that. And if the narrative does change, and it becomes James Forrest, and it becomes, you know, his goal, it becomes, you know, the record-setting goal. I think that's all just part of the Celtic story. And then I think we need to take that Simply the Best song, rhyme it with Jamesy Forrest if he does get show.
Hey, James Forrest finally got a song on Wednesday night. They brought back the Jinky Johnston song for Jamesy Forrest on the wing. It's only taken 15 years to get him a song, but there you go. What an accolade to have Jimmy Johnston's old song just renamed for you. So there you go, Jamesy boy. I think Celtic, I think we'll win. I'll say 4-1 tomorrow. And do you know what? Here's a spiral. I think St Mirren will take the lead, but I'll just make us angry, and then we'll come back and win it 4-1. But yeah, should be a good day in the sun tomorrow. It's going to be, I'm going to get a cap on because my face will be toasted. Because where I sit in the stadium, the Lord Jockstein stand, it's a 12:30 kickoff. Is to be blazing tomorrow. The sun's just going to be right in my face. So if I'm going to come on PMP tomorrow, I don't want my face to be redder than it is already at times, because I've got the old rosy red cheeks. I'll be burnt to a cinder if I sit with no cap on. So I'll need to make sure I remember my hat tomorrow. But yes, say me and Terry will be on. We'll do PMP, and I think Russell is back on Tuesday. I did speak to him on the phone earlier, so he is back. And yeah, we'll just go through there, folks. So yeah, hit the subscribe button, the like button, every other button on the way out, and we appreciate it massively. Liam, another great Friday feeling, another pleasure as always. Yes.
Oh, I didn't say it once.
We didn't, mate. We didn't. We're not even going to say it. We're not going to say it. I know that some of the chat come and they wait for it, but not tonight. Not tonight, folks. We've been good tonight. We've been very, very good. So anyway, enjoy the game tomorrow, wherever you watch it. Enjoy the Tron Gate if you go down to the celebrations as well. Don't do anything I wouldn't do or Liam wouldn't do. And yeah, we will head off. So yeah, folks, enjoy Trophy Day, and we shall see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.